Dark swirling clouds, dangerously high water, and deadly, damaging winds. Southwest Virginia is no stranger to severe weather.
Storms during the spring months can range from an afternoon shower to something bringing significant damage. And your Pinpoint Weather meteorologists are here to make sure that you're ready for anything.
In the next half hour, we'll tackle several types of storms, from torrential downpours and flood-covered streets to preparing for the extremes.
This is Safety in the Storm.
From tornadoes to thunderstorms, the Pinpoint Weather Team knows what you're up against. You're watching Safety in the Storm on WFXR.
Well, hello, and thank you for tuning in to Safety in the Storm. I'm Chief Meteorologist John Carroll.
And I'm meteorologist Kara Thompson.
And I'm meteorologist Tab O'Neill. We're in the middle of Severe Weather Awareness Week here in Southwest Virginia. It aims to improve our readiness ahead of the severe weather season.
Now, severe weather can range anywhere from thunderstorms to tornadoes and flooding. And speaking of flooding, it is one of the most frequent hazards in Western Virginia.
Yeah, the combination of the rainfall and the mountains allows for fast runoff and flash flooding. It may not seem as scary as, say, a hurricane or a tornado, but it's just as dangerous. Western Virginia is home to a lot of hills, and we often get a lot of rain. In the Roanoke area, it's no stranger to the heavy rain, and it's no stranger to flash flooding. There are different elements that come into play, but generally we have a valley, a fairly wide valley, surrounded by mountains. When the rain showers fall in and around the region on top of the mountains, that rain runs downhill into the valley below. And because there are a lot of streets throughout the region, obviously, well, the streets help to channel that water into the creeks and streams much faster than it normally would under, say, a grassy field. And that leads to those creeks and streams getting overrun fast, and the flash flooding does occur. And it's really important that when we see a road that is overtaken by water, by running water, by floodwaters, to not drive through it. We have that simple expression, turn around, don't drown. Well, look at this car here backing up and coming right back up the way it came, because you don't want to go into a roadway that has been overrun by water. You just don't know how deep it is. And the power of the water is amazing. Just 12 inches of water can sweep away a car or SUV. Now, last summer, we saw a significant flash flooding situation unfold in far southwest Virginia, in the Grundy area. Now, the region saw several inches of rain in just a few hours, and some living nearby say they were scared for their lives. The water moved over the landscape, pushing debris, cars, motorcycles, and mobile homes off their foundations with ease. This hollow along the Dismal River was like a war zone of devastation.
Me and my husband we always check the road, and we got out and went down the road, and the water was getting up. And I told him, I said, we need to go tell our neighbors, because it was coming through the ditch up here, and he started blowing his truck horn. And this neighbor over here came out, and then we went and got the other lady out, and we were just all scared to death. And then in no time, this whole bottom was full of water in no time.
There was no power, no light, no end in sight to the wall of water, relocating property and piling up debris.
He was watching me sitting on the porch. I watched all kinds of stuff go down through here. And refrigerators, stoves, deep freezers.
It was rainy for a short period of time, but the danger seemed to last forever.
The silver lining is we're alive. That's the silver lining. We're alive. It is. It was dangerous here that night. It was very dangerous.
Flash flooding is an extremely dangerous element of the weather that we experience here in Western Virginia. In Buchanan County in July 2022, it was devastating. And why is it so devastating? Because it comes up so quickly. We have heavy rain in a number of locations, but when heavy rain falls in a short period of time, it brings along flooding. But you add topography to that, and it brings on flash flooding oftentimes. And we have a lot of hills and a lot of valleys here in Western Virginia. We have a lot of rain. We have a lot of flash flooding. So let's go back to that July night. It was a Tuesday in Buchanan County. About 7:40, this is the radar returns, and you can see from Grundy to Bradshaw, there's some heavy rain that's falling. Now, I want you to focus in on Dismal River Road. Now, as we move forward in time at 8:25, you can see that the rain is starting to impact Dismal River Road, and it is relatively heavy with a lot of reds, oranges, and just some green moving through. Then here it is, 9 o'clock. It is the bullseye, Dismal River Road, with a lot of rain falling in a very, very short period of time. By the time we get to 9:15, it is inundating the area with a lot of that heavy rain indicated on the radar. It does start to settle down at around 10 o'clock, but not before we got over 6 inches of rain in about a 3-hour period. That overtakes just about anything. But you factor in the topography, or the hills and the valleys, and it is devastating. And this is what I mean by that. In and around the Grundy area and Dismal River Road, we have a hilly terrain from the Cumberland Plateau. As the rain fell on those mountains, look how steep those hills are. Well, it raced down the face of those mountains and down into the valley below and overtook the region in less than 2 to 3 hours, inundating the region, devastating the region.
Coming up next, strong winds, hail, and heavy rain can cause damage to any property at any time. How you can make sure your home is prepared for any kind of severe weather.
But first, what items do you not need in your emergency backpack? Hard, sturdy shoes, extra bottled water, a whistle, or a flashlight? We'll have the answer in a minute. You're watching Safety in the Storm. Welcome back. So what item do you not need to keep in your emergency backpack? It's a trick question. You should have all of them in there along with a host of other safety items.
Thunderstorms are one of the most common weather events. The 3 ingredients needed for thunderstorm development are moisture, atmospheric instability, and lift. What happens is warm, unstable air will rise, producing tall thunderstorm clouds. Updrafts help to fuel the storm with warm, moist air, while downdrafts can produce strong winds. During their lifetime, thunderstorms can produce heavy rain, hail, lightning, damaging winds, and even tornadoes. Now, the National Weather Service will issue a severe thunderstorm watch when conditions are favorable for severe storms to develop. A severe thunderstorm warning will be issued when a severe storm has been detected or is imminent. Now, the National Weather Service will also designate a severe damage threat category for each severe storm. Now, a severe thunderstorm warning will automatically be issued if a storm is capable of producing winds up to 58 miles per hour and/or quarter-size hail. Now, a severe storm may be given a considerable or destructive damage threat category. A considerable threat tag would suggest a dangerous severe storm capable of producing 70-mile-per-hour winds and/or golf ball-sized hail, and a destructive tag indicates a severe storm capable of producing winds up to 80 miles per hour and/or baseball-sized hail. This would trigger a wireless emergency alert message to phones in the warning area. Only 10% of thunderstorms nationwide reach the destructive category each year. Now, whenever a severe thunderstorm warning is issued for your area, you should immediately take shelter.
When thunder roars, go indoors. For many, that shelter is their home. I spoke with Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety senior meteorologist Sarah Dillingham about big and small improvements you can make to your home so you can stay safe during the storm.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense against the weather. So that's why you want to make sure that your roof is at top tip shape so that it can give you the best performance. You want to keep an eye out for things. Maybe take a look up in your attic and look at the roof decking and see if you see any signs of a potential leak. You'll see something away like some darker spots that look like water spots, or maybe some wet decking, even if it's a significant leak. If you do notice any issues, you want to make sure to have a licensed roofer come out and take a look at that and see what repairs you may need.
Check for any loose flashing around the edge of your roof, as well as any loose shingles. Sarah says it's key to keep the wind out of your home.
When the wind gets into the home's not really built to withstand that technically, so it internally pressurizes, which means the wind causes the forces up on the roof and it pushes out on the walls. That uplift on your roof, if it's not secured properly and doesn't have, say, like hurricane clips or some sort of strapping that's tying that roof down, you could potentially lose your roof by allowing that wind into the home.
Sarah explains garage doors are one of the most vulnerable areas in our home for getting winds into the house. If you're thinking about making improvements, she recommends installing braces or selecting a wind-rated garage door that has been tested to withstand high winds. Make sure to seal any cracks on windows and doors as well. Don't forget to check your yard, especially the trees around your house.
Make sure that you're keeping an eye on those that might not look so healthy or some that have some limbs hanging over your roof, because you don't want to end up with having potentially a tree fall on your roof or having one of those larger branches come down.
Virginia is no stranger to hail. Consider installing screens around your home's air conditioning unit to help reduce the chance of hail damage. Remember to stay up to date on the forecast. Depending on the weather conditions, you may want to move your patio furniture, trash bins, bicycles, and other loose outdoor objects.
It's going to be a stormy day or a windy day. Maybe pulling those into your garage, that'll save you some energy, maybe tracking that down into a neighbor's yard. But it can also potentially cause damage to your home as that wind picks that up, and it can become windborne debris and slam into doors and windows or do other damage to your property or maybe even your neighbor's property.
Before the storm hits, create a home inventory of all of your belongings and review your insurance policy. That way, in the aftermath of the storm, you'll already know what your policy covers, and you can easily make an insurance claim if your home or belongings are damaged.
Well, coming up, Southwest Virginia may not get as many tornadoes as, say, the Deep South, but that doesn't mean that can't happen. What steps you should know to get ready for any severe storms.
But first, annually, what weather-related hazard leads to more fatalities? Is it lightning, tornadoes, flooding, or hail? We're going to have the answer when we come back. You're watching Safety in the Storm. Welcome back. The answer to your weather trivia question: what weather-related hazard leads to more fatalities every year? The answer is C, flooding.
Well, another thing that Virginia sees are the occasional tornado. Now, these can range from small spin-up tornadoes to storms that devastate communities.
Every day, scientists are getting better at predicting conditions for a tornado so that you can have the best chance to stay safe in the storm.
Tornadoes are formed during supercell thunderstorms and begin with horizontal wind at and above the surface. Wind at the surface begins moving at an opposite direction of the wind above, and that creates wind shear, and that causes a rolling of the atmosphere between those two directions of wind. It's kind of like rolling a pencil between your palms. All thunderstorms form in buoyant warm air with lift, or convection. In supercells, in which rising air is very strong, the horizontal vortex at the surface can be pulled up into the storm, where it splits and goes vertical. That is when a tornado forms. As dangerous, deadly, and damaging as they are, tornadoes are equally fascinating and certainly worthy of both our respect and science.
And in our area, thunderstorms are much more frequent than tornadoes, but whether twisters or severe thunderstorms, we need to be prepared for the worst, especially at home.
Thunderstorm hazards include lightning, hail, and damaging wind. When a severe thunderstorm warning is issued, the advice given by the National Weather Service is to immediately seek shelter. Storm shelters and basements are the safest, but what if you don't have one? Mary Ann Tierney, Regional Administrator for FEMA Region 3.
When there are severe winds and rain, there could be projectiles, there could be potential damage to your home or roof. So you want to get in a place where there aren't going to be any windows so you can avoid, broken glass or any projectiles entering your home. Also, the interior home tends to be the most structurally sound. In particular, bathrooms are very structurally sound. So if there's a tornado warning and you don't have a basement to go into, going into a bathroom, bringing a mattress if you can, and covering yourself in the tub or shower is definitely an option to consider, because it's probably one of the safest rooms in your home.
If the home or structure is manufactured housing, the recommendation is to find shelter elsewhere. Get out. Janet Blankenship, Chief of Bedford County Department of Fire and Rescue, says this is where preparing now for the spring and summer stormy season is important.
So if you have a neighbor or someone who has a basement, which is most of your prime location that you'd like to be underground, and then those situations be able to go to the basement because they'll say recede to the basement floor. So if you have a neighbor that has a basement, maybe pre-plan that with them in case something were to happen, that you could go over there and get a basement where it is definitely more secure.
This plan is good for everyone, but very important if you live or work in a structure that would not offer safety in a storm. First, find a safe building accessible day or night and plan not just one, but multiple evacuation routes to get there. Second, when storms are expected, verify access to the shelter and the routes to get there. 3, don't wait for warnings. When special weather statements and severe weather watches are issued, get to the safe shelter. And 4, remember to take your emergency preparedness kit with you. Now, these steps offer protection from falling objects, flying debris, and lightning. However, the #1 killer coming out of thunderstorms is flash flooding. It is important to know your risks from flooding and modify these actions as needed. This may include leaving the area completely.
Now, when severe weather is happening, we're going to let you know what the major risks are. You can stay up to date using our WFXR News app.
Coming up, there's another way you can help your community get weather ready. After the break, we show off a unique program letting you become a citizen scientist.
But first, Virginia averages how many tornadoes each year? Is it 18, 27, 8, or 12? The answer when we come back. You're watching Safety in the Storm. Well, roughly how many tornadoes touch down in Virginia each year? The answer is 18. That seems like a lot, but you got to remember that there's the coastal areas as well,
Yeah.
like hurricanes and such.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, you know, severe weather obviously can happen at any time, any place, any part of Southwest Virginia. And there's another way that all of us can actually help the community, and that is to get weather ready.
It's called Weather Ready Nation, an open collaboration in the scientific process. It lets you become a citizen scientist.
Yeah, I sat down with the National Weather Service to see what goes into this joint effort between those in the weather office and those in the field.
If you love the weather and are a bit of a weather buff and want to do more than just look on your phone for the icon that says it's going to rain, there are a few programs offered by the National Weather Service that'll help you take the next step into becoming a better weather citizen. Phil Heisel from the National Weather Service in Blacksburg discusses a few options that may interest you.
There are 2 programs I think of, John, that would be immensely helpful that people can join. The first is the Skywarn program. Anybody can become a Skywarn spotter by visiting our website and taking the online training. When you take this 2-hour training course, you get a certificate, and we just ask that anytime you see downed trees, flooding, large hail, or a storm that may produce a tornado or snowfall, you can call or contact us by email with that information.
You would be part of a large network of weather spotters that can help the National Weather Service and others to analyze the storms and ultimately keep everyone safe. But why is that so important?
If we issue a warning and say, hey, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, you need to take shelter, if we can supplement that by saying we have trees down in Salem, this storm is moving toward Roanoke, that's going to motivate people more to take shelter.
And as part of the registration process, the National Weather Service vets the participants to ensure that the critical information being passed along is credible. And if you want a different option, there's another road you could take to becoming a better weather citizen by reporting the weather in your own backyard.
We have a program called CoCoRaHS, the Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, and Snow Project. If you go to the CoCoRaHS website, watch a short video, you can order a really nice 4-inch rain gauge at a discounted price. And when you get that gauge, you can put it in your backyard in an open area, share your reports of rain and snow. That information gets ingested into our weather models so we know how much soil moisture is in the soil, how much snow is on the ground, and it leads to better forecasts.
All this helps the National Weather Service with information gathering from boots on the ground. And this, combined with computer data and models, leads to a better and more accurate forecast.
Be our eyes in the field to tell us what's happening, because once we know what's happening, we can then disseminate that information through all the media outlets like WFXR, and more people are aware and can take the appropriate action.
Now, if you really want to get hardcore into weather gathering, there's a co-op program you can look into, where each morning at 7 a.m., you'll send a report to the National Weather Service about temperatures and precipitation. If you're a real weather enthusiast, this may be the option for you. But the bottom line is, the more information that can be evaluated, the more accurate the result. The more accurate the result, the safer we can be.
Yeah, and that's fantastic advice for all the weather buffs out there. Everybody really seems to be getting into weather, so there are some really great programs that you can get involved in. And something that's really important for yourself is getting a backpack squared away, an emergency backpack. Get that in your car or keep it in your house just in case. We're going to give you some ideas of what we have. We got the backpack, but you want to have a helmet. Because if we are caught in the tornadic activity, you want to make sure that your head is safe. Hard-soled shoes are important because if there's debris around, you don't want to be walking around in flip-flops, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, one of those things to also keep in mind as far as that backpack is your first aid kit, whether it be bandages, gauze, and such, just to make sure in case you are injured or hurt, you have a way to treat those wounds, whatever they may be. Also, snacks are always important in everyday life, but also important when it comes to that emergency supply kit, just to kind of keep your energy up. And of course, you want to stay hydrated as well. Make sure you have plenty of water on hand.
And I'm all about staying connected and communicating, so I've got a battery pack. This I can charge up my phone with. I also make sure I've got the cable to go along with it as well. This battery pack, by the way, also has a flashlight built into it. Nice. Now, one of the worst things that I found, and I actually learned this when I was a Boy Scout, is carrying a whistle. Let's say, for example, you're trapped under debris or something like that, and you can reach your backpack, don't have a phone signal. I'm not going to blow it as loud as you can blow it, but you can signal for help using the whistle.
That is an extremely sound device, and it's just something simple you can do and keep in your car all the time. So basically, what we have is a lot of information that we've given you over the past hour or half hour, and it's something that you really need to know.
Yep, making sure that you stay safe for the severe weather season ahead.
Yeah.
Well, storms like these don't have to be scary. If you have a plan already made, you can be ahead of the game when you hear the first warning.
And if you want to get those warnings first, you can download the WFXR News app to stay weather aware.
Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us here on Safety in the Storm. Stay alert and stay safe.